Hello friends, today, I will talk about a French social comedy called Unfireable. A man rides in a taxi through the rainforest. The driver asks him about his impressions. After all, this is his first time in Ecuador. The car suddenly breaks down in the middle of the forest. You have to walk. The optimistic driver assures that the weather will be excellent, but contrary to his assurances, heavy rain begins. The driver finds positive sides here. But the Kichivas tribe will not stick their noses out of their huts in such weather, and immediately the couple is surrounded by aborigines with spears and bows. The men are led into the jungle at the ready. The leader meets them there. The shaman is angry. He mistook Vincent for a spy, and he has to talk about his life in order to learn better about his soul. Otherwise they will simply burn it. Vincent begins the story from his school years. His teacher said that every person at birth receives some kind of gift, which he must develop. Classmates want to be veterinarians, firefighters, politicians, and Vincent wants to be an official because his father was an official. And also during this activity you don't have to do anything. He loved going to work with his father and seeing his fellow employees working for the good of society. One day, his father showed him a poster with a picture of a man who helped his father become an official. And he assured that he would also help Vincent achieve what he wanted. The boy often imagined himself as an official and fulfilled his dream. It gave him great pleasure to issue all kinds of permissions and receive nice gifts in return. While playing tennis, Vincent argues that God loves officials, a permanent contract, Christmas dinner, corporate housing, and his girlfriend wants to become the same by marrying him. But in Vincent's life, there was the most important woman, his mother. She took care of him, and anytime, anywhere, over morning coffee, or while repairing his car. Having a dream job was a sign of incredible luck. But one fine morning, when Vincent arrived at work, he found his colleagues watching TV. Everyone was discussing the upcoming reduction of the bureaucracy. People will either have to quit or go to places where they are needed. A category the official later names as not falling under this process. These are employees with 30 years of experience, police officers on duty, employees who are married with more than 2 children, disabled people caring for disabled people. With each named characteristic, there are fewer and fewer people left until Vincent is left alone. At dinner, the mother tries to calm her son down, but he is unhappy, despite their age. His parents are completely healthy. This means that he cannot become a person caring for a disabled person. His father supports him. Why is this mother not sick with anything? Because she is already 80 years old. The last option left is to get married, and Vincent invites his old flame to a restaurant. But when he is ready to put a ring on her finger, the official sitting at the next table reminds that marriage has no force after the decision is made, and Vincent forcibly removes the ring from the woman's hand. After serving his country for 16 years, he was forced to abandon his office, family, and friends. He arrived in Paris, decided to call his fiancée. But it turned out that his place had already been taken by a more successful candidate and, falling from the unexpected news, Vincent saw a poster with an aged trade union leader. He goes to meet a politician. He explains that he should not agree to dismissal, that after traveling to the proposed places, he will receive an offer of a good severance pay. Vincent goes to Inspector Isabelle, who offers him a severance pay of 17,000 euros. But the man is not going to sign the agreement. And then they promise to find him a place of work that he himself will ask for dismissal. Soon he calls his mother. He was sent to carry out a delicate mission. Announced to the farmer about the demolition of his house. Then there was a museum of sounding sculptures and a service in the migrant entry system. The minister is pleased with Isabel's work because she only has 4 people left to fire. The woman openly bribes and offers Vincent an allowance of 35,000, but he again does not agree. An angry woman asks the employees to find the worst possible job from the available vacancies, and Vincent flies to Greenland. He is dropped off at a closed booth, and Isabel does not answer his calls. Waiting for the right moment, Vincent begins to pray for salvation, and then they finally come for him. They explain his duties to him. He will drive away polar bears, because this is a very dangerous animal, and when attacking, he grabs the most painful and important place for men. His predecessor had to be operated on. But the Danes did everything, even better than before. Vincent asks the psychologist to give him a negative certificate. He is upset, his partner will be disappointed. But Vincent is determined until they encounter that same partner. She turned his head. Vincent performs the most difficult tasks, for example, obtaining the genetic code of a polar bear, and for this he needs to be euthanized. Vincent shoots, but the bear rushes towards the people as fast as he can. The man begins to panic that he missed the mark and suddenly the animal falls. She reminds that the best DNA samples can be obtained from that same organ and leaves Vincent alone with the animal. Isabel calls Vincent in the hope of hearing words of surrender, but the man thanks him for his excellent work. She announces that she is going to Sweden for the weekend and invites Vincent to fly with her. The couple arrives in the town where her family lives. The woman explains to Vincent that all her life she has worked where she can be useful and shows a photo. Here is her African period, and the father of her eldest son said, here is her Thai period, and the father of her daughter Emily. But this is the Swedish period and Gunnar, Lars's dad. And here is the girlfriend with whom he lived together for 2 years. Eva runs away to the stove, leaving Vincent alone with the photo. He examines the period of horse breeding and promises to help. Sitting down at the table, the man is forced to listen to the prayers of all family members and is happy to learn that Lars is an atheist at this moment. A man without clothes comes into the living room, and Eva reports that nudity here in Sweden is completely natural and Gunnar no longer lives with them, as he is getting married. The children suggest that he will start dating his mother. They go together to cheer for Sed, who plays football, and Vincent is proud of the child. And then they listen to Emily play the flute. Children brought out the best part of a man. He learned to sort garbage, read stories, and bake pancakes. And Eve finally gave him her heart and body. But the minister expresses dissatisfaction that Isabel's last official has not yet been fired. This is a bad job, and if his promotion slips away from him, Isabel herself will go to the most terrible place. The woman flies to Greenland. She brought a check for 40,000 and asks him to finally sign the dismissal. Otherwise he will be transferred again. Vincent calls the union leader, and he advises taking a vacation to delay the conversation about dismissal. Vincent writes a statement, and the enraged Isabel is forced to leave. Further in Sweden, she introduces him to her friend, who invited her to go rafting. Vincent agrees to stay with the children, and Eva leaves. It turns out that Vincent knows how to be jealous. But Eva unexpectedly returns and says that something bad happened to Carl when he was pushing the raft off a rock and hit his crotch hard. Vincent sympathizes with the poor fellow. He has become a different person, and even his parents noticed this when they flew in to visit their son. The Swedes are very calm and neat people, and only tourists litter. He studies Swedish intensively, forgetting that his parents don't know him. So his father doesn't understand the phrase that hot water is available at a certain time. The parents go home thinking that their son has adapted to well. But what Vincent did not take into account is the long nights in the north. One day he sees on TV a speech by Gerard Depardieu, who returned to France after a long absence and realizes that he is terribly homesick for his homeland. He buys French products and quarrels with those around him who do not understand his depression. He eventually announces his return to his homeland. Eva agrees to go with him. Isabel finds him a new job and even housing not far from the prison. And here, perhaps, for the first time in all his time, Vincent begins to regret his intractability. Eva also has problems with children. All three are scattered among different schools, and the woman has to run all over the city to first separate them and then pick them up. Vincent hides that his work is simply dangerous, and employees are often attacked. Eva tries to find a job, but her projects are rejected despite all her optimism. The woman is upset. One day Lars gives his stepfather advice. At his job, what he knew how to do best. Why not apply these skills to a new place? Vincent remembers how he received signs of attention, and begins to use the scheme "you tell me I tell you" in prison, and soon becomes a favorite employee for prisoners. But Eve really doesn't like this, and one fine day she collects her things and children. Vincent tries to deceive the leader and explain to the Indians realistically the bureaucratic service, but they do not understand what the 13th salary is. He recalls how one day Isabel came to him with a bottle of wine. She again tried to persuade the man to sign a dismissal after receiving 43,000. But Vincent writes to the union leader, and he advises him to take sick leave. The minister promises Isabel that she is almost fired. And Vincent gets the feeling that his place is being returned to him. A happy man goes to work and celebrates this event with his colleagues. But he constantly thinks about Eva, and 9 months later she calls and tells about her pregnancy, and now he is here in Ecuador and will soon become a father. The leader is ready to let the man go because he has a chance to become a good man. Vincent promises to name the child in honor of the leader, and the man rushes to the mission where Eva worked. The woman meets him with her daughter in her arms. Vincent reports that he took leave to care for the child and offers to choose the disease that they supposedly will get. But Eva is not funny. There are no vaccines. This is a poor hospital. The man promises that he will solve everything and gives a bribe. But Eve gets better, and for this sacrifice she is ashamed of Vincent. After looking around, Vincent calls Isabel and says that he is ready to sign a statement in exchange for $50,000. Isabel is ready to pay extra from her money just to get rid of him, and they ask her to use the money wisely. In the next shot, hospital workers unload a truck of medicine. Isabel goes to meet the minister when a recording comes on her phone with grateful people who received the necessary drugs from her. They thank her for her kindness, and the woman runs away in tears. She calls Vincent, and he says that he donated all $50,000 and said that it was from her. But it's time for him to end the conversation, because he is at work and needs to get an accurate DNA analysis. And now from the crocodile, this is where the film ends.